What's up, guys? This is the AAA podcast. We're back again. We got,
No, start again. That was weak. That was weak.
um no, what's up, guys? It's AAA podcast. We're back again. I'm Alonzo. We got Andrew here, and yeah,
We don't do roadside service.
we don't do roadside service.
I like the more hype version of it.
Dang. What's up, guys? It's the AAA podcast. I'm here. We got Alonzo. We got Andrew, and we don't
Do roadside service.
we don't do roadside service. Let's go. Let's get it. So what we got to talk about today, Andrew?
Well, we're coming off the back of UFC Fight Night last Saturday, and now we're on the cusp of UFC 270, which is a big one. We got the big boys fighting.
That's true.
Well, I guess we'll start off with Fight Night last weekend. You had some notes you said you took, so I want to hear your thoughts on it first.
I did take some notes.
Well, obviously the main event was Calvin Kattar versus Chikadze, but yeah, go for it.
Okay. I just want to note today is January 18th. And when is the next fight? Is it this Saturday?
This Saturday, the 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to note the dates and times. So yeah, this is my first fight night I ever watched. It's maybe about my third or fourth UFC event that I've ever watched in my entire life. So for this one, I wanted to come and prepare for the podcast. I wanted to take some notes down. And for the first few fights, I actually took some notes. Then after the third fight, I kind of just gave up. So let's just get into the first fight that I saw. I don't think this was actually the first fight of the night, but the first fight I saw was Bill Algeo versus Joe Anderson Brito.
Yeah, that was the fun interview afterwards.
Yeah. So my thoughts on that one. Bill Algeo, very American. He was extremely cocky. He was very Republican. I noted that night he was disrespectful. He celebrated during the fight. It was very interesting. He also hated on the judge. It was just all around a dick. So those are my thoughts on Bill Algeo. I didn't take any thoughts on Brito for some reason. I didn't even know what happened during the fight.
I know. I think you I remember you texting me you were starting to watch it during that fight, and you didn't.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really paying full attention to the fights yet at that point, but I saw your text when he was doing the post-fight interview, and I heard him tell Giga's fans to go home, and then he brought up the fuck these Joe Biden voters and whatever, and I'm just I don't know where that came from. I don't know
America.
Regardless of what anyone's political beliefs are, I don't know I would just feel goofy going out there just to trash a whole sector of people in the country. But and what I was confused by, and I might have to rewatch it because I missed it, but it sounded like he was telling Giga Chikadze, the guy in the main event that lost. It sounds like he was telling him fuck you for being a Joe Biden voter, but I don't think and if I misinterpreted, I'll look stupid here, but I don't think Giga can vote in America.
I have no idea.
Pretty sure he's a Georgian citizen.
Yeah, isn't he? Yeah, because I remember that because at that point Mariah had started watching too. And I was like, what is that flag? I don't know what country that is. And she was like, Georgia. And I was like, Georgia? Interesting. So yeah, I think he's Georgian.
Perhaps Bill Algeo confused which Georgia he's from and thought it was the state.
That's very possible.
So he just assumed that he was a Joe Biden voter, perhaps.
Maybe.
I forget if Joe won that state, but who knows?
I think he did win Georgia.
Yeah, I think that was a big one, but
the state though, not the country. I don't know. And I
Regardless, I didn't really pay attention to that fight, but all I saw on Twitter was people trashing him for like being a discount Colby Covington, like not trying to make like the MAGA thing like his whole gimmick, but it sounded like he had a pretty shitty performance. Like it wasn't impressive at all.
I
And
don't think it was. Yeah, I don't think it was like an undeniable, like overwhelming victory or anything.
yeah, so it was kind of just like this guy looks goofy talking all this shit for a pretty mediocre performance. But hey, there you go. There's UFC Fight Night. What other notes did you take?
For that fight, that
Well, just in
was
general, or for
oh,
that.
for that fight, I had no more notes. I didn't really know anything about like his fighting, or I feel like I didn't even see much of the fight. Really, just the post interview. The fight wasn't really that interesting to me. But I just noted that he was a dick. That was it. I really don't know if he's a good fighter or not. He didn't seem like he was that great. Again, I'm like a novice UFC fighter, but
You're a novice.
UFC fighter. I'm a novice UFC watcher. I thought he was
Oh,
like okay. I didn't think he was like super great or anything, but I guess we'll see. I also during the event I was following people on Instagram, like the people that were fighting,
oh
so that
yeah.
I can actually like keep up with the people. I imagine like if someone's fighting in fight night, like they're trying to become like a star, right?
See, okay, so that's like a kind of like that's kind of like a big topic that a lot of people argue about is like the UFC is technically a promotion, so like they say like oh the UFC should do more to promote the fighters into stars, but
Okay.
the stars themselves on
Hey,
the a lot of people feel like the UFC fighters themselves should promote themselves more like a Conor McGregor type situation and like build themselves up. And I
okay.
don't really know where I sit on that, but I will say a lot of them kind of suck at promoting themselves.
Yeah.
Like they do post on like Instagram that they're fighting, but like a lot of them won't post until like the day they're fighting. They like won't give you a heads up at all. They'll just be like, "Hey guys, I'm fighting tonight." Like they won't mention their opponent. They won't do any of that.
Yeah.
So it's all over the place with that.
Okay. So UFC doesn't they don't really promote. They'll promote the event, but not necessarily like the fighters. Like Bill
They do.
Algeo, like he has like almost 7,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah, well, it depends. I think like the UFC just hand picks people like that they want to promote more, especially if they have a lot of hype around them. So like that's kind of what happened with McGregor when he blew up, but McGregor also did a lot of that on his own. And then what's a good example? The guy in the main event, Giga Chikadze, like he had a lot of hype coming into this event, and if he had won this fight on Saturday, he'd likely be next in line to fight for the featherweight title.
Okay. Like
So they're promoting him a lot.
that's the question I do have. Like, how do they decide who gets to fight for a title?
So like there's rankings, but they don't really mean shit. Like you don't have to be number one to fight for the title. It's kind of just whoever's in the general vicinity of 1 to 5 and has not lost to the champion yet.
Okay.
It's kind of just like you got to put together a series of wins, and then like you can kind of make a case for yourself to the UFC why you should be in a championship fight or why you should get a big money fight or something along those lines.
Sam. Okay then. Let's see the next fight I watch. Let's see. We got Dakota Bush versus Viaxleb Borshlev.
Yeah,
I tried my best.
Vyacheslav Borishev.
Viaxleb Borshlev. I do have some. I have a, I have a couple notes for this one, not a ton. Um, I just said I, these notes are kind of negligible at this point. Borsch turned the fight around really fast and hit him hard in the gut.
Yeah.
Do with that what you will. Um, he was down after that. All right. Then he was hammering his head and did it. Okay, yes. This is the one where Borschleb won, right? He's the one that was
Yeah.
dancing.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, like Borsch, I feel like in the beginning of the fight, he was taking more hits, like he was getting hit pretty good. And then all of a sudden he kind of turned the fight around, and then he started hammering him in the head, and then he just started dancing after that.
Yeah, immediately like yeah, so he was the it was kind of like what I was telling you in one of my texts I sent you that night. It was kind of like an underwhelming fight card because there was just kind of a lot of fights that went to decision.
Yeah,
Um, but he gets to say now that he got the first finish of 2022. And on top of that, it's not like your typical like, oh, he got punched in the head and got knocked out cold. He fucking knocked a he knocked the guy out by punching him in the gut, which is I feel like more impressive that you got to have enough power to like really like take someone out that
right.
way. So that was just kind of like crazy to me. But and then on top of it, yeah, he's a good dancer.
Yeah, those were impressive dance moves there. He was like hopping like a frog, like making his legs go side. It was interesting. Um, that fight was that fight was more interesting than the one before that for sure. Um, and the dancing was great as well. So I think it was a good
Yeah.
fight.
Well, it also lasted a whole 2.5 rounds less than Bill Algio's fight.
That's fair.
So yeah, it was fun. And then there was the women's fight between Chukagyan and Jennifer Maya.
I was into that one too. So before that one started, I looked them both up on Instagram, and then which one is it? I found out that Catlin has a podcast as well.
Yeah.
Our podcast is better than yours, Catlin. So then, yeah. So yeah, I found
Really?
out that um she has a podcast where she talks about like real estate and like being a UFC fighter, and that she also likes pizza. Those are the things I learned from her Instagram page. Um,
I'm impressed you did this research.
I know, but just some notes I took for that fight. Maya was shorter than Catlin by like 4 inches.
Yeah.
But like to me, it seemed like Maya was like stronger and faster than Catlin still. But like Catlin just had like a really good length on her. And like there were just many times where I felt like Maya was getting close uh into Cat, and then like she was hitting her hard, and then Catlin would just like hit her from far away with like her legs, just like a long stretch kick. And then Maya's just like, like Jesus, you're so lengthy compared to me. It's like hard to get close to her. So
Hard to
that's what
close.
I got.
Yeah. Um, it was kind of in, like it was like a fun fight, but like it was kind of frustrating at the same time because it did feel like Maya could have like finished it possibly, but she would just have trouble getting in there, and then like she
Yeah.
got stunned and then held back. So that was kind of a mixed fight, but Chukagian's the one that I was telling you about. Got exposed last year for like watching porn
Oh
on
yeah.
Twitter. Um, and there's a lot of memes about it too because I believe she was specifically liking it was either interracial or just specifically black porn. And there's a lot of memes about it because I'm pretty sure she's married to a white dude. So everyone was joking that like she's just dreaming about like all this black porn and interracial porn, and she just wakes up to her white husband.
That's fair. Oh yeah, and then speaking of husbands, Maya's husband was very interesting looking to me. He's just really intense. He looked like he should be in the UFC.
What was his name?
I don't know his name, to be honest. He's just this big white man with tattoos, just extremely intimidating looking. I was like, he should be fighting, but I guess he's like maybe her trainer or something. I have no idea. But what are the notes I put? Yeah, Mai was doing a good job getting in close and landing jabs to the face. She was landing some good kicks. But Kat just had the length advantage. She just kicking Maya back the whole time.
Mhm.
Um, Maya broke free from Kat's grapple and repositioned herself a few times. Yeah, it was also hard for Maya to like grapple Kat too. Like it just seemed like she just had like T-Rex arms the whole time. Like it was just so hard for her to do anything.
Yeah. Well, you made a joke. I had made that exact same joke, but thanks for copying me. But
When did you make that joke?
well, I made okay. Well, you didn't hear me. I was watching it, but then also
Oh,
in my new YouTube video, I made that joke about Tyron losing.
put the
So
link to the YouTube. I'll put the link to the YouTube video in the description.
thanks, buddy. It's Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul 3. Um, but yeah, Catlin also with that win though. If I remember the stat correctly, she became the first fighter to have, I think it was 10 wins in the UFC, none of which have been finishes. They've all gone to decision.
Is that a good or bad? That's a bad stat, isn't it, or no?
Well, considering a lot of like, well, that's the other thing. The When you were asking about the promotion and like how they choose people, uh, typically, like specifically with Dana White, the president of the UFC, he really likes guys that like go for finishes. So it's kind of like it's kind of like a depending on how you look at it thing because some people will say, "Oh, she's getting the wins. That's like all that matters, really." But other people will say it's kind of lame that she can't finish anyone.
Yeah.
So it really just depends how you look at it. To me, I feel like I'd be a little embarrassed about having that stat, but I'm also like a much larger dude. Like I'd weigh in at heavyweight at this point, so
Okay.
I have no excuse. I'm
That's
just
fair.
fat.
Because UFC, you're not fat. But UFC is like it's not based. Because like to me, I thought it was just based on like record before. Like the big fights are like people who just like are like undefeated or like just have a bunch of wins and like when is her UFC record like she has 10 wins in the UFC?
I think that's what that stat was about. Not like I think she has more than that, but in the UFC she has 10 wins with
Okay.
no
Because I was wondering if they ever count fights from like different like fighting circles as well.
like organizations.
Yeah.
They'll acknowledge those, but like sometimes if they want to like hype a fighter up more, like I keep going back to Giga because he was the main event last Saturday, but for instance, he had I think two losses already going into that fight, but since joining the UFC, he went 7-0. So they were like they would say, "Oh, he's undefeated since joining the UFC," and
Okay.
like say stuff like that.
That's fair. And then like the way they pick people is just solely based off of like who's like who's gonna make the most hype, basically.
Like who they sign.
Yeah. Like
I
are the
mean,
people in Fight Night signed to UFC?
no, everyone that's fighting on fight nights is signed to the UFC. It's like they sign people basically. They go through and there's like a bunch of ways they could do it. They could either see you in another organization. They do like scouting, like other sports do.
Okay.
So you could like kind of be you could come up on the radar, and they could be like, "Hey, we want you," and sign you. A lot of times they'll do that with like become a champion of a smaller organization, and then they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's been like doing good in this other organization. We'll sign him to the UFC and see how he does." But then there's a couple other ways. There's like uh, Dana White's Contender Series, which is a show that comes on it. I think they do it a couple times a year, and it's like 10 weeks in a row where they have like 5 fights on that card, and it's all people who like are potential UFC fighters, but like they're not signed. They'll fight it out, and depending on how they perform, Dana White will sign them right there on the show, or uh, let them know that like they can come back in the future and try again. And it's kind of like a tryout. And
Okay.
then there's the like reality show, The Ultimate Fighter, where it's like every other reality show where it's a bunch of people that move into a house together, and they kind of fight in a tournament, and the person who wins that tournament, well, it's the person who wins for sure gets like signed to the UFC with a 6-figure contract usually, but the people who come in like second and third in the tournament usually get like a chance on like a smaller UFC card or in a smaller slot. So that's the gist of how people get into the sport or into the organization.
Interesting. Okay. That clears it up for me a little bit because like when I was like looking at the people's like accounts and stuff, they would have like records for like 13 KOs and blah blah blah,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and 5 years in this organization or whatever. And I'm just like, what are these? I don't know what those are.
Yeah. Yeah.
But okay.
That's how they'll do it. But then the next fight was actually really, really, really fun. That I don't know if you took any notes on it. The Brandon
Yeah, I didn't take any notes on it, but it was good.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. It was weird because I didn't know who I was. I didn't like have a favorite going into it, so I kind of was starting to root for Rogerio, but then it was just like crazy. Like they were just fighting at a crazy pace the whole time.
Which one? Brandon won that one, right?
Yeah, and there was also that controversy. I don't know if you heard them talking about it.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about.
I think it was in the third round. Brandon had him. Yeah, he had him in like an arm bar, and it looked like he tapped, and people were like arguing whether or not he tapped. Do you think he tapped?
I thought he tapped because I remember the fight now because of that. Because that was like a bloody one. Like they were fighting a lot. Was that the one they were bleeding a lot? I feel like they were bleeding a lot in that one and the last one. But yeah, he had them. Definitely the last one. He had him in an arm bar. I think that who was on the ground? I think the guy that was submitting the other person was on the ground, and the other guy was standing up, and like he was like tapping the arm, like he started like tapping, but like the ref didn't do it, and then like he ended up getting out of the hold.
Yeah. Well, so the camera angle that they had on the like live shot made it like look worse too. I think it looked like he was starting to tap, so like people assumed he tapped more, but I think he only tapped once. And what a lot of people seem to agree on is that it looked like he was about to tap, and then like at the last second realized, oh wait, he can get out of this hold, so he like cut it off at the last second, and was just kind of hoping the ref didn't like pick up on it, and he got lucky there. But I still think it's good that Brandon won because I do think that was pretty much a tap, and he was also not necessarily like doing the most damage, but I feel like he just did more than the other guy.
I agree too. I think that like I thought it was a really good fight, but I did think that Brandon deserved to win that based off of like the like phantom tap and just the fact that he won in the end. That felt satisfying to me.
The fact that he won, I felt he deserved to win.
Yeah, exactly. It was just satisfying.
Yeah. And then there's that heavyweight fight that there was like the
was that
event.
Sherman and Collier?
Yeah. Did you even
I didn't see any of that one. I went to the bathroom or something.
Yeah, that one was really fast. I don't really have anything to say about that other than Collier. Did you see how big of a guy he was?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you didn't even
I can
see
look him up.
He's a huge guy, but you can look him up. He's a heavyweight now, really big at heavyweight, like weighed in at 264 or something. And he used to fight at middleweight, which is 185 pounds.
Okay.
And the way he used to look compared to now is just like crazy.
His account, he does not use his Instagram account. He has one picture, but I can see how gigantic he is compared to the three women next to him. I can see that he's a big dude.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm being honest, I don't know how many fighters actively use Instagram. I mostly like keep up with people that I like on Twitter.
Yeah, I need to start going on Twitter too. Do they say stupid stuff?
Some of them do. A lot of them like will talk shit, but it's easier just to get like MMA news on Twitter. I've noticed like when it comes to getting news on Instagram about like fights, upcoming fights, or like changes to fight cards and everything, you'll get the news on Instagram like 2 days later.
Okay. So I should have it on Twitter then. But you said it was just like a quick fight, and who won the fight?
Jake Collier did. The two of them looked like they shouldn't have been fighting. They looked like they were different weight classes. Like Collier weighed in again, like I said, 264, and then Chase Sherman weighed in, I think, at like 230 pounds. Like, so like a 30-pound difference between these two guys.
Dang.
It's crazy.
Are they? And you said it was their rank is. Are they in the same heavy? Are they in the same rank as the main event this Saturday?
Yeah, well, they're in the same weight class. They're not ranked.
Okay.
Or are they? I don't think they're ranked.
Well, that's
But
what I meant, like the weight class.
yeah, the weight class, they're in the same weight class. But so that's kind of something I've noticed a lot with the heavyweight division is like you'll get a lot of people like the two guys that are fighting on Saturday, Francis Ngannou and Ciryl Gane. You'll get people like them who are just like these huge freaks of nature that look like jacked. They've been jacked, like they hit puberty twice or something, and like they just never stop growing muscle. And they look like they should be actual heavyweights. And then you'll get people who are like kind of like a little bit under them in the rankings, and they're like 6 foot tall, and they could easily weigh 190 pounds if they try to, but they're just fat. That's like the two types
Yeah.
of fighters that are in the heavyweight division, and it's not necessarily bad. Like I don't think it's like bad that like there's guys there that are like smaller and just chunkier, but it does genuinely make me mad when like I see like a big fat guy, and like I'm not a fighter, so I obviously can't be talking shit, but I hate when I see like a large dude who could be fighting at lightweight coming out at like 260 pounds, and he uses all of his energy in the first 30 seconds, and then he's just tired the rest of the fight. I hate that so much.
That's fair. He's like a O lineman,
Like a what? Lineman?
like an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I get that too. Like, I don't, that doesn't sound fun to watch. Like, if you're in a heavyweight division, but like you're saying, like with the main event next week, like I imagine like both of those dudes. Like I saw like pictures of them. Like they're like extremely muscular, and like
Yeah. They're jacked.
they're just like big. Like they're just like tall, big, and like I assume they're also like fast and have stamina too.
Well, kind of.
Well,
So
maybe not. Okay.
they're big and tall. That they're like 6'4", 6'5", around that, and like
Okay.
they they do have stamina, but I mean, obviously, it still is going to take a lot to fucking move all that muscle and throw punches. But it is just frustrating when you see like just super large dudes do this, and you're like, how are you not like embarrassed? Like, would you not want to just like cut the weight, make it
Yeah.
make weight class, and have more stamina?
Yeah, I agree too. Like I would, like I don't want to see just like I don't want to see someone just lose their breath within like the first 30
And
seconds.
there's like there is exceptions to that. There's like guys that fight that are just like fat guys, but like they have stamina and they like can put up a fight for 3 rounds. But the majority of them that are like in the top 15, like closer to like the bottom part of the top 15, uh, if they're larger dudes like that, I feel like they have the habit of just like gassing out so easy.
So
But yeah, that fight happened really quick, and then by the time he got back from the bathroom, it was the main event. So what do you think of that one, the
yeah,
bloodbath?
when I it was a bloodbath. When I got out um of the bathroom, they were just walking out. Kattar or Kattar and Chikadze. Um, that fight was definitely the most entertaining fight of the night. I
Hmm.
didn't know which way it was really gonna go until I feel like maybe like maybe like towards the end of the second round, the third round. I thought that Kattar would win, but for the most part, I didn't know who would win, and it was extremely bloody and violent. And I feel like it was pretty fast paced the whole time too. So it was definitely entertaining.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of like drama going into it. Like if you followed a lot of it beforehand during fight week, and I'm assuming you don't know all about that. So
No.
like I'll explain some of that to you. So they're fighting at featherweight, which is like 145 pounds.
Okay.
The current champ of that weight class is Alexander Volkanovski,
Okay.
and he had a fight scheduled for April, I believe, and a few like last week it was announced that the guy he was fighting had to pull out because of an injury. And Kattar and Chikadze are pretty high in the rankings, so a lot of people were thinking like, oh, maybe they'll wait till the winner of this one, and then one of these guys will go fight him in April. But um, they already announced that there's a replacement for that guy, and they're already putting that fight together, and it's neither of these two. But during the fight week of this week, a lot of people were talking about, oh, Giga should be the one. He's 7-0 in the UFC. Like he's on a 7-fight unbeaten streak, and he's like been so dominant. Like he should be getting the title shot automatically. And Giga's been tweeting like weird stuff. Like Giga was telling him like, oh yeah, like you're taking the easy way out, taking this other replacement fight. You should just wait for me after I crush this guy on Saturday. And he was basically the entire week he, he's like ignoring Kattar the entire week and acting like he was gonna like run through him easily.
Okay.
So seeing him get shut down for 5 rounds straight was absolutely beautiful.
I forgot there was 5 rounds to it too
Mm-hmm.
in the main event.
And Giga's whole thing is like throwing kicks and everything. And I don't know if you noticed, but after that first round when he got put on the ground, he barely threw kicks after that.
Yeah, I don't remember much kicking. The thing I remember most are the spinning elbows.
He landed those so many times.
I was like, oh my god, another elbow! Like, there's just so many elbows in that fight. I was like, I've never seen this before.
I know. I'm amazed Giga didn't go down or like get finished, honestly, because he took some hard hits. So that
Yeah.
was kind of impressive. But I was a little annoyed though, because like right at the end it looked like he was about to go out and like get finished, but got saved by the bell there at the end. But it is just funny now because it makes him look goofy that he was talking shit all week about how he should be an untitled shot and he got shut down that bad. And later or the next day or something, he went live on Facebook to talk about everything. And he posted a picture with Kattar afterwards, like kind of like they were showing each other respect.
Yeah.
But then he went live on Facebook, and I don't know if he was on pain meds or something and he was talking out of his ass, but he started saying some stupid shit. And I don't know if he's going to take the loss too well, because he was like, oh, 9 out of 10 times I would beat this guy, and this just happened to be that 10th time that I lost. And it was it's when people say shit like that, I don't know how well they are able to take a loss.
Yeah, honestly. Now he's not undefeated in UFC. So like now I'm interested to see. So is Kattar gonna fight the winner of the replacement and that other guy?
No, or I don't know. I guess it just depends on how everything goes with that. But right now, Kattar, a lot of people are talking about him fighting like the number 2 or number 3 ranked guy in the division. I think Kattar's ranked number 4 right now, or 5. So a couple of guys that they're talking about are Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez. I know you don't recognize those names, but they're
No.
both coming off of big fights in the division as well. So Brian Ortega is just coming off of a title loss, and Yair's coming off a loss to Max Holloway, who's the number 1 contender. He's the guy that had to pull out in the trilogy fight here, but with the champion. But a lot of people were underestimating Kattar this week too, because last year, right around this time, I think it was a couple days ago, it was an exact year from the day, but Calvin Kattar fought this other guy, Max Holloway, and he got his ass absolutely blasted the whole 5 rounds. Max landed, I think, like upwards of 500 strikes on him or something. Like he set a lot of records that night for number of significant strikes thrown and landed. I think he holds them both now.
Jesus.
Like Max Holloway already held those records or something, and then he broke his own records on Calvin Kattar.
Dang.
So that's partially why a lot of people were underestimating him going into this fight, because it's been like a whole year since then, and they're like, oh, he's gonna be rusty, ring rust, he's gonna be scared to throw shots. And Kattar really said, no, I'm just gonna throw elbows though.
Like he was doing that a lot, and they were landing. And I was just like, an
I
interesting
know
fighting style.
I was amazed like Giga kept walking into them. I'm like, I'd be scared to go forward.
Like, oh, watch out! He just turned to a Beyblade in the ring. It was funny.
Yeah, so it was a good fight though. It sucks that it was like the first main event of the year, because everyone's joking now, like fight of the year. It's fight of the year, 2022 fight of the year. And like if it happened like in December, for instance, it probably would be like considered like fight of the year or like close to it. But just because it's recency bias, it's gonna wear off in like a couple weeks, and everyone's gonna forget about it.
Yeah.
Most part, but it was really good. But the big thing is obviously next week with the title fights. So I don't know if you heard the tragic news.
No.
Greg Hardy's out of his fight next weekend.
Greg Hardy,
Yeah,
like the guy that used to play in the NFL.
yeah,
He was fighting this week. I didn't know that. I feel like you told me that.
yeah. I was told.
I think my
Yeah,
mouse
when you were
fell.
over last time, I mentioned it to you. Maybe the tequila shots got to you that night, but
Maybe.
yeah, Greg Hardy was scheduled to fight, but he just pulled out the other day because he got a boo boo on his finger or something. I didn't really see what his injury was, but so that fight fell through. But the two big fights that night are obviously Ngannou versus Gane, and then
Right.
have you seen anything about Brandon Moreno or Davison Figueiredo?
Nope. You said Figueiredo?
Figueiredo,
Oh, Figueiredo. No, I don't know.
yeah. So they're fighting for the third time. This is like a trilogy fight between the two of them.
Okay.
I sent you the first fight if you want to watch it sometime, just because like it is a really, really good fight. But the first time they fought, it ended in a draw. Like Figueiredo was the champion, and it ended in a draw because it was just that close to judge, and Figueiredo got a point deducted from him for like a cup shot or something.
Okay.
So then they rematched last year, I think in like June or something, and Brandon Moreno wiped the floor with him and like choked him out in like the third round or something. So he won the championship off that fight, and now they're rematching again. And I don't know who's gonna win or who's more likely to win, but if Figueiredo hypothetically does win, now I'm curious if they're going to make a fourth fight.
When is this? Is there no one else in the division for them to fight? Like, why? My question was just like, why have they fought 3 times?
Well, the first time, like I said, it was a draw, and they were like, "Oh,
Okay.
we need to do an immediate rematch because it was just such a good fight and it was so close." So then they did the rematch. The challenger wiped the floor with the champion and won it easily. So a lot of people were expecting him to go on and fight someone else, but then they just made this fight. I'm not too sure why. I guess it's just because they're kind of considered the two most like entertaining guys in the division right now.
Okay.
So, and there's a couple other guys that need like they're scheduled to fight. Like the contenders are scheduled to fight each other. So there's not really anyone like currently available.
Is this
But
like a? Is this just like a heavyweight card?
no. So every fight is a different weight class. These guys, Figueiredo and Moreno, they're flyweights. They only weigh
Oh.
125 pounds.
Okay.
So these are very small boys, but they're very dangerous boys. And they would still tear me in half. It's kind of scary. But it's gonna be a fun fight. But the main one, I want to get your prediction for the main fight between the two
Okay.
big boys.
So all I know about them is that trailer that you sent me that I saw. Um, so we got the guy who punches the hardest in the world or something, and
Is that
then
yeah?
and we got the guy who was he trained with him. Is that their connection?
They train together, yeah, for
Okay.
period.
So hmm, I'm gonna go with I think I'm gonna go with the upset. I think I don't know if it's an upset or not. The other guy, the guy who doesn't punch the hardest, the whatever his name is.
Gane.
Yeah, I'm going with him.
His name's Ciryl Gane. You can remember it pretty easily because
Zero is gonna win.
it sounds like cereal gone.
Ciryl Gane,
Yeah.
Bakugan.
Oh no, all the cereal's gone. Uh, yeah. You said he's
Sirio. I'm going with Sirio. Um, just based off of absolutely nothing. I don't know anything about either fighter. Again, I'm just a novice watcher. I'm gonna learn as I go. But I think Sirio has a good like. Which one of them left their original camp and started their own thing?
so Francis was the one that was training in France and he left to come train in America.
Okay. So like Sirio is like Francis is like Sasuke and Sirio is like Naruto. Like
Wait, what?
Francis left the country
Oh,
to, to get stronger.
Francis.
Francis left the country to get stronger, and Sirio is like the Naruto. Like he went to train, continuous training with Jiraiya to bring Francis back to France. So I think Sirio's gonna win.
Interesting. So now I gotta ask: is it gonna be by like a finish? Is it gonna be a decision?
I think.
And what?
Hmm, I'm trying to speculate. I'm thinking in my mind. I'm predicting it. Um, I think. My prediction is that Sirio wins by a submission.
Submission. Interesting.
Sirio by submission.
What
A,
round?
a chokehold.
What round?
Fourth round.
Fourth round. Okay.
Fourth round.
Where's a notepad? I want to write that down. I'm just
See
gonna
how
write that.
far off I am.
I'm just no. I mean, like that's very real. I'll explain it. But so serial fourth round submission, fourth round choke specifically.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I don't know. I don't know who has more of a chance. Basically, Cyril doesn't have like the power that Francis has. Francis obviously has like some world record for the hardest punch, and he can obviously. So at any point during the fight, he can change the course of it really quick.
Yeah.
But Cyril is like crazy technical. He's like one of the most technical guys people have seen in heavyweight like ever. He's just like very methodical with his movement and everything, and like he doesn't hit the hardest, but he can avoid getting hit pretty well, and has like a crazy variety of strikes and like finishes and everything that he has at his disposal. He's good on the ground too. Francis is I don't know how he is on the ground honestly because he mostly just punches. So
Okay.
I don't see him fight too much on the ground. But the big thing to me is that Cyril has been proven in his like last not his last fight, but his last two before that, he's proven like he's got 5 round cardio. He can fight all night at the same pace. But Francis, he seems like he tends to gas after a couple rounds, and a lot of his power drops off after that because he is like technically bigger than Gon and takes more oxygen to throw those big
Right.
muscles. But it just really depends if Francis paces himself or not. If he paces himself and doesn't like rush to try to knock him out, he can probably hold on to that power through the whole 5 rounds. But I don't know. Like, if you're looking at it objectively, like you would think Ciryl should win because he has more ways to win and he's like way more technical. But again, it just comes down to if Francis connects clean enough, it could really just throw that. I'll throw it. I can't think of the saying right now, but shit will hit the.
Yeah. So like Francis is just like he just has like the destructive power. Like he's just like an explosive person, but like his cardio is low. And then Sirio, I assume is Sirius that has strength. Does he knock people out ever?
He can knock you out, but usually he doesn't have like one punch power like Francis does.
Okay. So Sirio's more, like you said, like technical. He's probably better at grappling and stuff, and he has more cardio.
Yeah, Francis has like a couple submission wins, but since being in the UFC, he's pretty much slowly just like blazed his way through with the with the power.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna go with my prediction for Sirio. I think Sirio's he's gonna dance around. He might take a couple shots in the beginning. I don't think he's gonna get knocked out. He's gonna avoid him. He's trying to tire him out. And then like maybe like late fourth round, early fifth round, he's gonna catch him slipping, he's gonna grapple him, and then he's gonna make him submit. That's what I think.
Interesting. So I can definitely like that. Like that's honestly a pretty like realistic prediction. I feel like I could 100% see that happening, especially if Francis does get tired out, because I don't think Francis has been to the fourth round in a long time. His
Really?
last, yeah, because his most of his fights end in the first round. I think
Oh,
between I think between something like 2018 or 2019 and 2020, going into Francis's title fight, he had in the last couple of years like a combined total ring time, like time that he spent in the octagon of like 2 minutes and 32 seconds or something.
I wouldn't even want to fight him.
But that's the thing though, is that like all those people he's fought like haven't been as technical as Ciryl. The guy Francis beat for the championship, Stipe, I don't know if you've heard the name at all. He's out of Cleveland, but Stipe is considered like the greatest heavyweight of all time in the UFC, and he could only go, I think, 2 rounds with Francis this time. He a couple years ago he beat Francis like pretty bad for like 5 rounds, took him down and like wrestled him for 5 rounds and completely dominated it. But in the rematch, Stipe is just old at this point. He was fighting Francis while he was 38 and also 30 pounds lighter because heavyweight has like a big range of weight that you could weigh in at.
Yeah.
So he tried taking Francis down the second time and he was like 30 pounds lighter. It didn't work too well. And Francis just folded him like a lawn chair. It was really bad. But obviously Stipe showed that like Francis can be like taken down and beaten like that. So Ciryl being younger and much bigger than Stipe, I feel like that just increases his chance of like winning this one. I don't know.
We'll see then. I'm interested to see. Um, are there any women? Whoa, wait. What's your prediction for the fight?
Oh God.
You gotta do one.
So a lot of people joke with this. A lot of people will joke about this. Like they're like, "Oh yeah, Ciryl is so technical. He absolutely has every technique at his disposal. He's gonna outbox him for 5 rounds, beat him on the feet, beat him on the ground." With that all being said, Francis by fifth round KO in the last 10 seconds. People will say that shit all the time. I really don't know though, so I'm gonna say, because the shitty part is too, I really like both these guys. They're both like really cool dudes, and I don't want to see either of them lose. But I just feel like the way it's going, Cyryl's gonna win. But just because you picked him, I'm gonna pick Francis.
Okay.
But if it is Francis, I don't see it going very long. So I'm gonna go by Francis by a knockout in the second round again.
Okay.
and I'll write it down too so we can compare. I hope I'm wrong, honestly. I hope it goes much longer than that, but who knows?
With those two, I don't want to just go second round. But I mean, so like if so, Francis is the one that's like going through people in the division in the in the weight class, right?
What do you
So
mean?
like he's a like are they both like beating a bunch of people?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, okay.
Francis beat a bunch of people and then won the title last March.
Okay.
And since then, he hasn't fought. Ciryl has been more active recently, and he last fought last August. So
Okay.
since then, they've both been out, just waiting for this fight to happen.
Okay. Um, so do you think that there would just be a rematch if after this fight, or like who would they go on to fight if they
It really
lost?
depends. It really just depends on how the fight plays out. Like if Ciryl wins somehow, but it's like close, then like they might do a rematch. But if either one shuts out the other one, like and it's completely like a complete blowout, I don't think there will be a rematch at all. Obviously, if Francis wins, I don't think there's going to be a rematch right away, at least because champions don't typically rematch contenders unless like the Figueiredo and Moreno situation where like it was like a draw.
Okay.
Uh, so it really just depends. But the only way I see a rematch happening is if it is like so fucking close that it's hard to call.
Okay. I'll be I'll be anticipating that fight Saturday then.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Are there any women on the card?
Uh, I'm sure there are somewhere.
Ugh. Who they got in the woman card? What happened to who's the one that Nunes? Is that the one that was like really good?
Yeah.
That she
Well,
like lost surprisingly?
yeah. So, well, Nunes just announced the other day that she's leaving her gym and she's going to be starting her own team.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I guess you'll find out. A lot of people say it's a bad thing though, because when people leave their gyms, if they go to start their own team, they're not like they don't have anyone in charge of them, so they're not like holding themselves accountable.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I don't know. That's a lot of people's opinions on it, but the only women fighting on this card are on the early prelims, and I don't know if either of these were canceled. I feel like one of them was canceled, but the only the only one I recognize is Kay Hansen. She comes up on Twitter a lot just because like I follow a lot of MMA people, and she's kind of got like some notoriety because she has like an OnlyFans, and I think a lot of people pick on her for it. I'm not exactly sure why in particular, but yeah, pretty much any fighter that has an OnlyFans gets picked on. I've noticed.
Interesting. I don't know. I don't know of any fighters whose OnlyFans I would even buy.
I don't know.
I don't know. But that's interesting. I'm not sure. But maybe I'll watch that if that one's there. But
Her OnlyFans.
no, not her OnlyFans. The fights. I'm not watching anyone's OnlyFans. Some of the fights.
Well, since it's a pay per view, they have early prelims, so they start really early. So just so there's like more fights for you to watch, they start at what time zone are you?
I'm Central.
So they start at 6 p.m. here, so 5 p.m. where you're at.
Okay. 5 p.m. to like that makes the event like what, like 6 hours?
Something like that. The main card for you would start at 9 p.m. then.
Okay.
So
Good to me. I'll watch some of it. We'll see. We'll see.
and then we should record Sunday after the in the aftermath and talk about it.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
All right. Do you want to finish off the episode?
Yeah. Um, yeah. Thank you, anyone, for listening to the AAA podcast. This is our first episode talking about UFC.
Oh,
Um,
you didn't post the first.
I need to post that still. It's just sitting on my desktop. It's still there. It's there. I'm getting to it. So yeah, look out for. I guess that one was. I have it marked. It was Jake Paul and Nunes that fought.
What?
No, that doesn't make any sense. We talked about Jake Paul's fight and Nunes's fight
Okay, yeah.
and that
So
one.
this will get a lot more. We'll get a lot more in the groove of things once you've watched a few.
Yeah. So yeah. Thank you anyone for listening. Do you have any closing thoughts, Andrew?
Um, Go check out Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley 3 on my YouTube channel. It's a great fight. Who knows who wins? Jake Paul makes his MMA debut. It's a great time. Um, yeah, that's about it. I'm excited to see what happens this weekend, and I feel bad for the guy in Jackass that gets punched by Francis.
He was not expecting. I saw the trailer when I went to see Scream, and I recognized Francis when he walked out. And yeah, I feel like that would be very painful.
Yeah, I don't think he can have kids. Like I just don't see the possibility. But who knows? So yeah, that's about it for me.
Okay. This has been the AAA podcast. Alonzo, this is Andrew, and
Service.
we don't provide roadside service.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see you.
Yep. See ya.